talked about the legal aspects of all these softwares. As plastic surgeons, we take a lot of photographs, especially of the patient's face, and we are concerned about the confidentiality aspects of the patient. We wouldn't like these patients to go into public domain. Obviously, we take consents, but even then, so what are the confidentiality implications and the medical legal implications of using all these softwares and apps?
So first of all, getting into that, I would like to tell you some guidelines. Whenever you go for purchasing any software, there are few guidelines that we should. Whenever you go for purchasing any software, have a good contract with the software vendors. Because that should ensure that you have taken care of data privacy. In case your data is lost, then you should be able to retrieve that data again. So, and there are many other things that has to be taken care while doing this kind of contract. So, whenever you go for purchasing the software, ensure that the contract is made. These are the basic guidelines. Secondly, there are two kinds of terminologies that we use in IT. I'll try to make it simple. One is whenever you purchase any kind of software, there is a configuration that is required. Okay. So configuration means, say you have a 100-bedded hospital, then for 100-bedded whatever things are required, then you have say 10-15 consultants configuring those. You have say 5 OTs in the setup, then configuring the same. You have some forms available in that, so making those forms available depending on the speciality of that particular setup. So these are some of the parameters which comes under configuration. That is very much allowed, and every hospital has to go for it. Yes. But second part is customization. So making the software in the way I am operating my system.
Yes.
So there are chances that you may end up changing the SOPs. You may end up changing the workflows. Many times, hospitals changes the whole form of patient registration or capturing the OT notes and all those kind of stuff. So avoid customization. Wherever possible, avoid customization. Because it has a different kind of implication. Once you customize the software, you cannot take it as an evidence for proving medical legal.
How is it?
Because you are already done the changes in the software, so how one will, how you can ensure that my software is foolproof? Because you already made the changes.
But if there are certain requirements from my personal perspective, I would want the changes to be made.
So that is development of new modules. It's not changing the existing software. So I'll give you one example here. For example, there is an appointment management workflow already exists. That is a standard workflow across all the hospitals that a patient, take the appointment, say telephonic or register or your portal. Appointment comes in the your system, then you assign a token. The patient is sent to say center 1, center 2, center 3, and then OPD is over or whatever action is taken after that. This is a standard process. You don't need to actually customize the. What you can do, what kind of changes you may need. So we have just 2 rooms and then our OPD is over. But then that is not customization, that is configuration.
Okay.
So try to avoid customization as you mentioned that you need something that is not there in the software, that is a new development. That doesn't come under customization.
Got that.
So whenever there is a medical legal thing, ensure that your software is properly licensed. You have licensed already. Secondly, there is authorization and access control. I'll give you one example again here. So, if you are solely handling the software, then there is no need of having such kind of things in place. But when there are 10-15 people in your setup and everyone is handling different kind of model or everyone is handling different kind of responsibilities in the system. So, in that case, say what A, B, C, D, 4 modules are there. As the owner, you have access to A, B, C, D, all 4. There is one nurse, she should have access to only B module. There is some finance person who should have access to say C. So this access control should be in place. That is the another prerequisite when you go for a paperless kind of hospital and you show maybe it could be medical legal or NABH or ABM, any kind of compliance you go for. If you want to have software as your base, then these prerequisites are required.
Got it. So you mean to say, as owner of that particular maybe hospital or owning that software, I have the potential to limit the amount of data or whatever it is there to certain individuals.
Perfect. Yes.
Now, taking the same question forward, we as plastic surgeons fall into different categories. Some of us are freelancers. We operate at different nursing homes. Some are attached to corporate hospitals. Some have their own hospitals. Some have their own nursing homes. And there are some who are also in government practice or in academic teaching institutes. So the requirement for all of this is quite different. I mean, the requirement of anyone who is working in a corporate sector is going to be different than a hospital owner. So can you elaborate a bit on this as to how we can customize it based on individual requirements of individual plastic surgeons?
Right. So, in our when we started our conversation, I mentioned that there are multiple software which are available in the market, and for a particular software, there are thousands of vendors that are available. So why so many vendors are available for a single requirement? The reason is the software are different for say starting. If you see there is a 10-bedded hospital, there is a 1200-bedded hospital, then the requirement changes. If it is a specialty hospital, it is a super specialty hospital, single specialty hospital, or multi-specialty, the requirement changes. If it is a daycare or bedded hospital, the requirement changes. What is the literacy level of your staff? Software changes. Whether your setup is in tier 1, like Pune, Mumbai kind of cities, or your setup is in tier 2, tier 3 cities, then the requirement of software changes. Your staff, IT literacy, and many other parameters are there when you select a software. Now, there is a surgeon or there is a specialist who is working in single premise, and there is a person who is working in multiple premise. Like she has her own clinic, and then he or she is, going in different hospitals for consultancy or surgery. So there are two types in this. One is you can have your own mobile app because you carry mobile everywhere, and it is easy for you to capture the data in the mobile. So one option, if you have your own mobile, if you are carrying a laptop, then you can have that as a web-based system on your laptop also. And secondly, you have that if a single patient is coming to clinic and the same patient you are referring to hospital, then you need that data synced to each other. So in that case, it is totally dependent on what kind of policy the hospital has. If hospital is allowing you to capture that data in your own software in their hospital, fine, you can do that. Otherwise, you need to capture that data in their software. So it is totally dependent on what kind of policy you and the hospital follow.
Olifont Solutions is an IT consultancy company assisting various doctors and hospitals to achieve their digital transformation goals. Olifont Solutions is a bridge between IT applications, software, and doctors, hospitals. They start the journey for any setup with a digital transformation assessment. Starting from identifying the appropriate software to assisting the setups as their extended IT team. In this journey, a team of Olifont consultants work very closely with respective IT vendors and compliance experts to give the hospital end-to-end results. They assist the hospitals in becoming ready for NABH digital accreditation and ABDM. Thank you. For any more details, you can connect them through contact details on screen.